Welcome to the Lilly Roddy Show, coming to you from the LRS studios here in Houston, Texas. Thank you for joining me this week as we look at February 1st through the 7th, 2015. I have to talk about the weather. The weather here in Houston has been really perfect. We've had literally spring-like temperatures and sunny days in the middle of winter. It's been so nice to have the doors and the windows open. Now, we've all been under the strong influence of Neptune last week and this week, which is part of probably the reasons why the northern USA is getting so much bad weather. This is keeping us inside or wanting us to avoid crowds and large gatherings. Some of you may experience this Neptune as just feeling really tired or overwhelmed. We start our Sunday off with Neptune, planet of spirituality and compassion, being very strong. Also this month we have a lot of long, void of course, moons. I couldn't say long. Although the void moon means we are more motivated by our feelings than our intellect. We can be as productive as any other time as long as we stay true to our emotional self. February 2nd is Candlemas or Groundhog's Day. This is the midpoint between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. These holidays are usually associated with pagan beliefs, but in reality, they are just midpoints on the calendar. And all holidays are actually just points on the astrological calendar. We're just not used to thinking about them in that way. But they are all calculated that way. Well, let's get to next week's forecast of February the 1st through February the 7th. Sunday, February the 1st. The moon resides in protective Cancer for the entire day. However, she does become void, of course, in Cancer, as most of us start our day at 7:37 a.m. And she remains void throughout the remainder of the day. Plan your more important activities for Monday. Now, the rest of the aspects for Sunday. The moon squares Uranus at 2:52 a.m. Our brain is mentally active this morning, and it may be difficult to fall asleep. Also, we may wake up earlier than normal. Some soothing tea before bedtime might help. The moon opposes Pluto at 4:41 a.m. We delve into our subconscious when these two planets meet. We may deal with old inner fears from the past, such as abandonment issues, or revisit especially difficult times in our childhood. If it were not so early in the morning, this would be a good time to see your therapist. Perhaps you'll process these fears and old memories more in your dreams. The moon trines Mars at 7:37 a.m. In the morning hours, we feel active and lively. This can be a good time for a workout or a good time to get to work early and get your day started. Well, now the moon is void, of course, in Cancer at 7:37 a.m. and will remain so until she enters Leo at 11:41 a.m. on Monday morning. This marks the beginning of a very long, void of course, moon time frame, over 24 hours. That's pretty long. And remember, the void moon just means that we're operating from our emotional place rather than our place of intellect. And with such a long void of course moon, this is likely to be a good time spent with your family and friends, or just find a nice place for you to retreat. Venus conjuncts Neptune at 11:36 a.m. We are called to take love to a higher level when these two planets combine. Love arises from our connection to the universe as we share our connection to spirit with others. We may be just in love with love today, because this planetary combination allows us to connect more psychically with everyone around us. This may also be a time in which all of us are more sensitive and looking for a retreat, a chance to visit the spa, or a drive to the beach. If you have to work today, this is an especially good day to work by yourself. Otherwise, this is a perfect day to be off and escaping the modern pressures. This aspect is in effect for the next couple of days. And, all of this occurs before noon under a void of course moon on Sunday. Should be interesting. Monday, February the 2nd, the moon begins the day void of course in Cancer and remains so until she enters expressive Leo at 11:41 a.m. And of course this will mark the end of our 28-hour long void of course time frame. Plan your more important meetings after lunchtime. The Sun sextiles Uranus at 6:29 a.m. We feel especially creative this morning. It seems to us that we can understand the flow of most every situation and can anticipate the outcome. This planetary combination also allows us to be more intuitive rather than having to think through things in such detail. All of us will work and feel better if we are doing things that really stimulate us and make us really want to be here. This may not be the very best day for structure and routine. Step outside of your comfort zone. All right. The moon enters Leo at 11:41 a.m. and is no longer void of course. We're all feeling more grounded after lunch. The moon trines Saturn at 6:53 p.m. We are in the flow this early evening, and it seems to us that we're able to think on our feet and adapt to any situation around us. Approach any task tonight with a positive attitude, and that will assure a sense of success. The moon opposes Mercury at 11:30 p.m. With friendships highlighted this evening, it's a great time to be out with friends, enjoying some wine and a nice chin wag. And by the way, that's a light informal conversation for social occasions. Be careful that you don't tell all of your secrets. Tuesday, February the 3rd. The moon spends the entire day in Leo, the sign that rules the acting profession. Luna does become void of course in Leo late in the evening at 11:31 p.m. Nothing for us to worry about. The moon trines Uranus at 2:18 p.m. Our head is in the clouds this afternoon. We could be very intuitive, but really only able to work on things that entertain us. This could be a good time for presentations that show others how to express their individuality. The moon opposes the sun at 5:09 p.m. This is the full moon in Leo with the sun in Aquarius. Our egos are bare as we look for love and appreciation. Choose good company this late afternoon and early evening since you are especially sensitive to what they have to say. Don't be afraid to get up and leave if you have to. The moon conjuncts Jupiter at 11:31 p.m. We're feeling refreshed this late evening. If you're awake, this is a great time for a late night drive, an early morning breakfast, or enjoying ice cream right out of the container. I think that's my favorite. The moon is now void of course in Leo at 11:31 p.m. and will remain so until she enters Virgo at 11:46 p.m. on a Wednesday evening. This marks the beginning of a very long void of course moon time frame, 24 hours. I told you we were going to have a lot of these. Wednesday, February the 4th. I needed that water. The moon starts the day void of course in Leo and remains so for pretty much the entire day until she enters meticulous Virgo at 11:46 p.m. This will mark the end of the 24-hour-long void time frame that began late Tuesday evening. On Wednesday, there are no exact planetary aspects. Overall, this could be a great day to take off or keep your agenda as light as possible. We're definitely more grounded after the moon enters Virgo in the late evening. The moon does enter Virgo at 11:46 p.m. and is no longer void, of course. We may get a slight burst of energy late in the evening, but it'll only last for a couple of hours. Focus on the chores around your home, and you'll have a very productive day. Thursday, February the 5th, the moon transits analytic Virgo for the entire day. And we start off with a really strong Mercury transit. Mercury sextiles Saturn at 5:40 a.m. This combination of planets indicates an energy that is favorable for making keen observations, planning and scheduling, or determining how to make your entire life work more effectively and efficiently. You will excel at any kind of work or project that requires you to have a good, focused concentration to push forward and redefine collective goals, all the while maintaining a realistic perspective about their future security and career. Be careful that you don't overdo it here on the details and try to work with more data than necessary. This aspect is in effect for the next couple of days. Now, a totally different view of Saturn. The Sun squares Saturn at 7:26 a.m. How much does the ego have to bend to satisfy others so that you can feel safe and actually have a place on the planet? Today we judge ourselves with the harsh eye of the inner critic or parent. We may not feel that we're living up to our own expectations. But before you make any judgments, be sure that those goals and expectations are really your own and not some leftover parental expectation from your childhood. If you can be on the positive side of this can be a time when you can take a very hard and realistic look at your life and empower yourself by taking actions on removing the obstacles on your path. Be careful that you aren't overly judgmental and too pessimistic, especially about yourself. This aspect is in effect for the next couple of days. It's a pretty heavy-duty one. The moon opposes Neptune at 12:57 p.m. Now, this is a perfect time for a long lunch. Try to find a quiet, out-of-the-way place for an escape. There are no more aspects for the rest of the day, but the Sun-Saturn aspect should keep you motivated even though you're dragging yourself along. What a fun forecast. Friday, February the 6th, the moon occupies service-oriented Virgo for the entire day. However, she does become void, of course, in Virgo for the late afternoon at 4:09 p.m. So just plan ahead and get your stuff done before then. The moon opposes Venus at 12:02 a.m. It's a great time to be with your sweetie early in the morning. We're all feeling a bit self-indulgent. The moon trines Pluto at 4:57 a.m. If you're up early this morning, you're already thinking about planning your day. We may also be feeling nostalgic and enjoying our memories from our past. The Sun opposes Jupiter, 12:20 p.m. We definitely see the big picture today when these two planets combine. It's an excellent day for any sort of presentation, seminar, or trip to Paris for a special conference on globalism. Personally, we feel more positive and optimistic about our future in general. Corporate or community organizations are especially good for you to interact with during this planetary aspect. The worst that can happen is that you'll only have a good day. This aspect, Sun opposing Jupiter, is also in effect for the next couple of days. In the afternoon, the moon opposes Mars, 4:09 p.m. Our emotions are strong this afternoon and may even upset our stomachs. We tend to take everything personally with this planetary influence. Just make sure that they mean it personally. No one can be challenged if they don't accept the challenge. Paraphrasing the Tao Te Ching, this is a good time for any type of games, competition, or sports activities. The moon is now void, of course, in Virgo at 4:09 p.m., and she will remain so until she enters Libra at 12:44 p.m. on Saturday tomorrow. This marks the beginning of yet another long void, of course, moon, almost 20 hours. Saturday, February the 7th. The moon starts the day void, of course, in Virgo, and remains so until she enters sociable Libra at 12:44 p.m. This ends our long void, of course, moon time frame. Plan your more important activities in the afternoon. The moon trines Mercury at 5:07 p.m. Our communication with others flows effortlessly this late afternoon. It's an excellent time for any kind of meeting for work, with clients, or with a neighborhood community group. It's also a very good time for blogging and interacting on social media. The moon sextiles Saturn at 8:44 p.m. Although it's later in the evening, it would be better if we had some sort of task to accomplish during this time. Doesn't have to be a major one, and could be as simple as reorganizing your sock drawer. If you're working, you are being productive. Venus sextiles Pluto at 11:51 p.m. This is an odd combination of planets, especially with Pluto in Capricorn and Venus in Pisces. In the most positive sense, this can be a time when we are motivated to do something about improving conditions, not only in our neighborhood, but over the whole planet. We can easily see the other person's point of view and at the same time maintain our own point of view without feeling that we're losing something. This can be a very positive time for any type of relationship negotiations, whether they are personal or on a business or international level. We have hope, but we balance it with a strong dose of reality. This aspect, Venus sextiles Pluto, is also in effect for the next couple of days. And of course, it's nice to end the week's forecast on a positive note. Thank you for joining me this week, and join us next week as we explore February the 8th through the 14th, 2015. I will add our email address and our website at the end of the show on the information line. So that way you can get in touch with me if you would like to. And as always, this is the Lilly Roddy Show, coming to you from the LRS studios here in Houston, Texas, reminding you to keep those stars in your eyes. Bye-bye.